Hey team, it's Mr. Z, and today we're going to go ahead and look at a function and examine quadratics in action. So here I have a degree 2 function. Notice it has one root with a multiplicity of 2. It has to have two answers, but the one distinct answer is repeated twice. So that's how it works. You can notice how a is a positive 1, it's concave up. All of that good stuff doesn't disappear. What we're going to talk about is how adding and subtracting numbers affects the graph. So this is just a basic quadratic, and I just want you to know that if I take my function and I add 2 to it, notice what happens. Remember, f of x represents the output. The output is the y. So any change that is affecting the output is going to cause the graph to increase. It's going to cause it to go up. Notice how it didn't change at all. All of the characteristics are the same, except for it's now up to. You can notice how this graph it's still degree 2. It has no x-intercepts, so both of the roots are imaginary. This is just one side effect of a transformation. You can predict that if I take my function and I subtract 2, what happens? It gets shifted down. This is also the same if I simply look at it and I take my function, x squared, and add 2. That is the same. The f of x. What is f of x equal to? Oh, f of x is equal to x squared. All it is a quick substitution. Two ways of describing the same behavior. So when you're affecting the output, it goes up and down. Thinking about it now, if you affect the input, that's going to be where we get our left and right from. So again, we have our function. This time, I'm going to affect my input. I'm going to affect the x. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to subtract 1. Now, real quick, you might ask yourself, what would happen? What's your guess behavior? Well, looking at Desmos, notice how the minus 1 is shifted to the right. Notice how I add 1, it's shifted to the left. An easier algebraic way to remember this is to think of a positive as a double negative. You're able to represent the form. Maybe this way you can see that when it's written as a subtraction, what happens? It's a positive 1 to the right. When it's written as subtraction, it's a negative 1 to the left. So if you want it to be intuitive, just remember to represent your positives as negatives. You may also see the format as the following. If I'm going to do the green where I subtract 1, aka going to shift it to the right one, what it might also look like is you might see my x being subtracted by 1. Notice how the green and the purple take up the same spot. They're the same. Likewise, if I add 1, or I think of it as a negative, I'm moving it to the left. If I put it on the inside, it's the same deal. It is just a substitution of function form. I replace my x with my transformation. So moral of the story is just remember that when it's f of x plus 1, that is a change to the left.